What's up everybody? So today I wish to address a very unpopular opinion regarding two boxers who fought each other back in the 90s, Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Their first fight back in 1996, which is the most viewed video on this channel, is widely considered one of the greatest championship fights in history and one of the biggest upset in sports history. But what struck me the most were some of the comments regarding one of the fighters, Evander Holyfield. More specifically, Holyfield's headbutting. And every time I've bumped into a post of their fight or Evander Holyfield, I can always find comments claiming that Holyfield was a fucking dirty fighter and that his win over Tyson should be credited to his headbutting. So today, I thought this would be a good opportunity to do something a little different. We're gonna take a closer look at the Tyson-Holyfield fight. Tyson's fans are gonna hate me. Alright, so before the 1996 showdown, Tyson and Holyfield were supposed to meet twice in the early 90s. Once in the summer of 1990, when Tyson was the undisputed champion and Holyfield the #1 challenger. They were supposed to meet after Tyson successfully defends his title against then unknown James Buster Douglas. And we all know what happened there. The second time around was when Holyfield, after beating Douglas, became the undisputed champion, and Tyson was the #1 challenger for the crown. And once again, because of Tyson, the fight had been postponed, before ultimately being cancelled due to Tyson's rape conviction. During that time, Holyfield, after losing his title twice, seemed at the end of his career. He was still regarded as a good fighter with former championship pedigree, but definitely past his prime. We are now in 1995. Tyson is released from jail, announces his return to the ring, becomes an even bigger star, and is ranked #1 by all three governing bodies, just as if he had never left the ring 4 years before. Meanwhile, Holyfield defeats Ray Mercer and barely hopes to remain in the top 10.
You know, guy, I ain't fought in 4 years. He ranked #1 now, and I ain't fought in a year, but I did fight a fight, and hopefully that I can get somewhere in the top 10.
Yeah, tough luck, bro. See you later. Now, back in 1996, Tyson easily beats up WBC and WBA's paper champions Frank Bruno and Bruce Seldon. Oh, man. That last one, by the way, was such a joke. And if you guys don't believe me, just listen to the boos when they announce the winner.
The winner by way of technical knockout is the WBC heavyweight champion and the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson.
After that, it became pretty obvious Tyson needed a legitimate opponent, which is why he chose to take on Lennox Lewis. Nah, I'm kidding. It's not gonna be Lewis. Come on, Don King paid him $4 million to step aside, remember? No, forget Lewis. We need a far less dangerous challenger, with still a pretty big name. And what better pick than Evander Holyfield? A 34-year-old man in a twilight of his career, 2 losses in his last 4 fights, and was knocked out on the ropes a year earlier. This is what Holyfield was supposed to be, a nice, easy payday, serving as a credible fight. Actually, I should say semi-credible. Because when you open as a 25-1 underdog, you're not going for a competitive fight. You're either going for an execution or public embarrassment at best. That's it, and that's what most people thought of Holyfield at the time. That he was gonna get killed. Now on to the main event. And straight up, you can tell that Tyson is barely in shape for this fight. By his own admission, he didn't train properly because he never took Holyfield seriously.
All the shit I hear about him, the toughest guy, the biggest heart, I don't buy that.
This is so reminiscent of his first loss to Douglas over 6 years ago, when it looked like he almost got out of bed for the fight. So anyway, the fight starts and whoa! Whoa! And we have the first big shot of the fight. Tyson landing a straight right hand on Holyfield's face. I'm still amazed to this day watching Holyfield still standing after a bump like that. Funny thing about it is that Holyfield was anticipating a left hook, as Tyson usually dips down before he throws it. But when you look at his last championship fight since his return, this is exactly how he started every single one of them. Tyson lands a few more punches, but Holyfield manages to contain him and keeps him at bay. Then the second shocker of the fight happens. Holyfield shows he's the stronger man while trading punches with Tyson. Last but not least, the round ends, and this happens.
As we head for the bell, they continue to go after the bell.
But remember guys, Holyfield is the dirty fighter. The next few rounds, Holyfield applies the same strategy used by Douglas 6 years ago, using his jab and tying his opponent when he comes inside. Tyson's strategy is to throw one of these 1-2 combinations in order to land a big shot, which gives an opening for Holyfield's counter every chance he gets. There's also some dirty fighting going on. like Holyfield's low blow, then Tyson getting him back with a shoulder hit and a punch during the break, so I guess they're even. You can tell that Holyfield is the superior fighter here. When Tyson's punches land, they score, but they never seem to do real damage. The only time Holyfield is staggered during the fight is in the 5th round, which turned out to be Tyson's best round. But before moving forward, guys, I've got to talk to you about something. And this has nothing to do with the fighters themselves. It's something that I've noticed while watching the fight that truly grossed me out. And it took me a long time before I stopped focusing on it. It's this guy right here. Because during the entire fight, he kept rubbing his oily, greasy hair with his hand, then putting them back into his mouth over and over and...
Enough with the hair!
Hold on, I know how to fix this. There you go. We are now at the halfway mark of the fight, and finally getting on the hot topic of this video, the headbutting. As round 6 begins, Tyson has the momentum going his way, but Mitch Halpern, the referee, calls the fight to a halt, as Tyson is cut above the left eye from a clash of heads. And I've been looking, guys. I'm still unsure when the cut occurred. The camera angle doesn't really help. Though assuming Halpern noticed it right away, this would mean that it happened during that exchange, right here, when Holyfield's head bounces off Tyson's punch, which is why I don't think it was intentional on Holyfield's part. You want to know what an intentional headbutt looks like? This does. This does. And without even going that far, I should also say go watch Tyson headbutting Holyfield the following round. But I'll get back to that in a second. Now, Holyfield's head clashed with many other fighters over the years, before and after he fought Tyson, but I believe this has to do with his fighting style when he comes inside. But regardless whether it's accidental or not, the fact of the matter is, one of the fighters got a cut over his eye, and most people think it's the reason why Tyson lost and Holyfield won. But when you look at it, Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis also had issues with Holyfield's head, yet they still managed to beat him. I must point out that this wasn't a bad cut. Want to say bad cut? Go check out Vito Klitschko against Lennox Lewis or Julio Cesar Chavez against Oscar De La Hoya. Anyway, the fight resumes, Holyfield is taking control, and Tyson looks frustrated. I'm also going to acknowledge that Holyfield threw another low blow, which I must admit was kind of vicious here. Damn it, Evander, I'm trying to make a point. Then Holyfield drops Tyson, which wasn't a legitimate knockdown, was more of a balanced shot after Tyson threw his left. Not the first time in his career this happened.
There was a body shot. That was not a punch. That was not a punch.
The crowd goes even wilder watching Tyson being backed up on the ropes. By that time, you can tell Tyson is mentally defeated. Now I'm going to show you why Tyson tried to headbutt Holyfield. Not once, but twice in the 7th round. Here Tyson is complaining about Holyfield's head. The referee warns him, but Tyson decides to take matters into his own hands and tries to headbutt Evander right here. Here you can see him launching himself at Holyfield, with no punches being thrown, just his head missing as Holyfield ducks under. So Tyson tries a second time, and here again, you can see there are no punches being thrown, just Tyson's head aiming at Holyfield's. So don't let his crying face fool you, he's the one who did it. He just didn't realize how hard Holyfield's head was. There isn't much happening in the next couple of rounds, so we're just gonna go ahead and skip it to round 10. Here Holyfield counters Tyson with a right cross and sends him back into the ropes. And let me just go ahead and say it, guys. This is the worst beating Tyson ever took in his entire career. It sure tells you how solid of a chin he has, but he's definitely out on his feet when the bell rings. 1 minute rest isn't enough for him to recover. Holyfield takes advantage of it the following round and forces the referee to stop the fight. Holyfield wins the title back and joins Muhammad Ali as 3-time heavyweight champion. A symbolic victory that was followed by an even more symbolic interview. Christians are probably gonna hate me for this, but I can't help it. Holyfield is just fucking hilarious. Now get ready for the most religious post-fight interviews I've ever seen.
Well, you know, I give glory to God. You can't choose against God. You can choose against me anytime, but whatever the Spirit leads me to do, that's what I would do. When God involved, Jesus is alive, and my God's the only true God, and everything must bow to God.
Now, most fighters are religious, and usually grateful at the end of each fight when no one gets hurt. I do understand that Holyfield is deeply religious, but man, in this interview, he takes it way too far. Even Freddie Pacheco is politely trying to get him back on topic, but nope. Can't get him off praising Christ, can we?
Why did you guarantee it with such assurance?
But because, you know, I would think when anytime somebody put God up there,
Let's get on to boxing. How did you fight such a brilliant fight?
Well, I was led by the Spirit of God.
Did you think you could take him on at the end?
It wasn't about tired. It was about what the Lord wanted me to do.
Bottom line, Holyfield is not a dirty fighter, he's a rough fighter. He was the better man that night. That doesn't take anything away from Tyson. I understand why people are glorifying him, but the fact that it comes at the cost of your judgment is kinda sad. Holyfield won this fight by being the smarter, stronger fighter. Tyson had his moments, but couldn't overcome from behind. Anyway, this beatdown Tyson took was so bad, you can make a trash talking goes wrong video out of it.
You got nothing coming, man. You got nothing. Nothing coming. I'ma like this. I'm gonna have a good time in this fight.
Tyson's ready to go. A straight right hand. The counter stops the fight.
He fought a good fight. He fought a hell of a fight. Thank you very much. I have the greatest respect for you.
Anyway guys, that's my take on this fight. Bye.